Hi everyone, my name is Monique Apodaca and this is my Module 1 Personal Introduction for AEP 855. So some personal demographics about me. I live in a smaller town called Pueblo West, Colorado. We are on the outskirts of a larger city named Pueblo, just to the west of it. Um, and I was born and raised here in Pueblo West, Colorado. I received my bachelor degree in liberal studies from Colorado State University, Pueblo, also in my hometown, about 20 minutes from my house. I'm now pursuing my master's degree in education administration. I'm hoping one day, not too soon because I do love teaching, to become a principal, assistant principal, dean, something of that sort. And I should be finished with my master's degree come May 2021. So I teach at Swallows Charter Academy, K through 12. This is it in the lower right-hand corner. This is our old school, keep that in mind. I am a third-year teacher this year in the midst of all this COVID crazy. For the last 2 years, I've taught third grade, but this year it'll be my first year teaching fourth grade. Because of COVID and the lost 3 months of school, I wanted to stay with as many students as I possibly could and loop with them from third grade onto fourth grade. A little bit different though because students did have the option whether they wanted to go to school online or in person. So I was asked to take on the fourth grade online class. So I will have 25 fourth graders starting with me on Monday. This here, again, I said that was our old school. This is our brand new state-of-the-art school that was finished in August this year. So seriously, I've been in there for about 3 weeks. It is beautiful. We were able to get this new school funded through a BEST grant, which was worth $20 million. So this will house our K through 8 students once we are back normally. But we have here pictures of what it looks like with this beautiful stairwell. This is our library. It's got a beautiful fireplace, a propane fireplace on the wall. We've got learning stairs in which a projector pulls down from the wall. The students can come here to learn. This is just a fourth grade classroom over here, but you can see we have the digital touch TVs. We're gonna have an outdoor classroom that students can learn outdoors. All right, so how is my school start different this year? Again, going back, students have the choice either to go in person or online. Parents could make the decision for their student, but they do have to make a semester commitment. So if they decide that they're going to do fourth grade online, they have to do it until January. That way we can adjust if we need more teachers, etc. Again, I was asked to do this, so I was voluntold to not only change my grade level, but to also teach online. And I'd like to think I know a little bit about online, but I don't. I really don't. So, moving on to how staff will look different this year. We have to wear masks at all times. Social distancing is recommended, and it seems like everybody is taking that pretty seriously with the 6-foot rule. We do have to have our temperature checked. We have to do it ourselves, so we have to do it at home or in the classroom when we arrive. We have to take that daily, and we also have a health screening through a Google form each day that we have to fill out regarding our fever, first of all, cough, sore muscles, etc. We are also told that we have to work from our classrooms, whether we're teaching 25 students in person or 25 students online. We do have to work in our rooms. Unless we are sick, then we can work from home. And finally, we have to be ready to switch to online learning at any given time. It's kind of nice for me because I will be ready to go regardless with being online already, but any teachers that are teaching in person have to be ready to switch to the online platform at any time. And this right here, the Schoology, that's the platform that we will be using this year. And Google Meet is how we are going to live stream to our kids. All right, so for our students that are going in person, they have a few rules. K through 3 students have to wear a face shield, And obviously this is more so because those younger students are still learning how to read lips, phonics, the position of the mouth when you speak. But 4th through 12th grade students, so my grade and higher, are required to wear a mask at all times. They still must social distance. I think we came down to the 3-foot rule. They have to be 3 feet apart. And they each have to have their own individual supplies. So there is no classroom supplies this year. Everybody must bring their own of each thing. And finally, they have to stay in their cohort all day long. So teachers are the ones rotating throughout the school, not students, except for lunch, recess, and obviously to use the restroom. So going over the 3 mindsets. Number 1, all students can learn. Number 2, teacher collaboration over isolation. And number 3, happiness and optimism. This then led into the 5 dispositions. Number 1, confidence. Number 2, risk-taking and being decisive. Number 3, a sense of humor. Number 4, empathy and being assertive with that empathy. And number 5 is being a learner. As for practices, number 1, you need to focus and prioritize. Number 2, examine feedback and data. Number 3, emotional intelligence. And finally, for our 8 principles, number 1, courage. Number 2 is always having public interest in mind. So this would be our stakeholders, which obviously would be students majority of the time. Number 3 is self-control, self-discipline, and integrity. Number 4, task and employee-centeredness. So things, school leaders are focused on tasks and employees always. Number 5, recognizing talent and how to use it. Number 6, requiring high ethics. Number 7, sensitivity and understanding. And number 8, inclusiveness. So, what do I agree with and what do I disagree with? I agree with all of the mindsets, all of the dispositions, and all of the principles. The only thing also, I might add, that I am very hesitant on with disagreeing is analyzing that feedback and data. And the only reason I disagree with this is because with feedback and data, everybody looks for something different. Some things that benefit me in my classroom don't benefit a kindergarten teacher. And one big thing I would note here is growth. I think that's something we focus on a lot rather than achievement. So I think growth would be the thing here that I would be focusing on. So my personal critique, I do think I have a lot of strengths moving forward into a school leader. I do think I fit all of the mindsets. I believe all students can learn. I believe that working collaboratively is so much more beneficial than working in isolation, especially with stress. It helps a lot to have reliable teammates. And happiness and optimism. I am a very happy and optimistic person. I think you can hear it in my voice most of the time. So I think that's a big mindset that I always try to have. I lack in some of the dispositions, but some of the dispositions that I think are strong for myself, I am a very confident person. I know what I can do, and I get it done. I have a decent sense of humor. I would think I'm pretty funny. My students probably don't think that as much, but I think I'm pretty funny. And finally, I'm a learner. Obviously, I am gaining my master's degree, so I like to learn. I like to continuously learn. I like professional development. I like growing. I don't think there's a limit to what you can know. Practices, I think I could improve on a lot of practices, but I think I really am, as a teacher, good at focusing and prioritizing. We have a lot to do. We wear a lot of hats, and it takes a lot to be a teacher. So I think I am very strong at focusing and prioritizing. And finally, I think I only meet about 4 of the 8 principles currently. I think courage goes along with confidence, hand in hand. So I do think I have a lot of courage as a school leader. I'm very self-disciplined. I have a very strong sense of self-control and integrity. I am what I need to be. I'm a tough lover, but I can be sensitive, and I do have a very high sense of understanding. And finally, inclusiveness. I think that I don't think it's possible to be a teacher and not be inclusive, or at least a good teacher and not be inclusive. It's built into our DNA to meet the needs and make sure everybody is equal, meet the needs of all students. So as for my weaknesses, my dispositions, I am not the biggest risk taker, personally. I could get better at that, which makes me a little on the indecisive side as well. I think that's one of the biggest things that I could improve on personally. And being empathetically assertive. I think that's a very hard thing to do, and it takes a lot of experience to be empathetic and assertive at the same time. As for practices that I think I could get better at, and again, these weaknesses I could improve upon. I think I could improve upon them. Yeah. They definitely can happen. Practices. Again, examining feedback and data. I'm not a big fan of feedback and data, which I should be because I'm a teacher. But it can be very disheartening to look at that and not know what you're looking for exactly. And emotional intelligence as well. I think I could grow in that field. And for my 4 principles that are not my strongest principles or traits, I don't think I always have public interest in my mind. I think I can be selfish sometimes. So I think that I can improve in that principle. This one I don't think I've had to do yet, and that's why I've added it to my list. My list is I've never had to center on an employee. I've had to center on tasks before. I could be task oriented, but for the employee centeredness alone, I haven't had to do that, so I added this onto my weakness list. Again, I haven't had to really recognize talent. I can recognize talent in my classroom. I can point out who's better at things than others. But if it comes to employees, again, putting them where they fit best and where they would be the most helpful, haven't had to do that yet. And finally, requiring high ethics. I think I do that in my classroom, but again, this is relating back to staff. I haven't had to do that yet. So I think I would have a really high sense of requiring high ethics, but I just haven't had to experience that. So how does all of this support the educational success and well-being of each student and adult? I don't think this so much speaks to adults here for us as it does to students. At least for me, my students aren't adults, they're children. So this was my quote for this. When all of one's mindsets, dispositions, practices, and principles align, so all of those things on the list, if those all mesh well and you have a good understanding, that school leader is able to focus on the success and well-being of students, as well as the rapport built with students, the learning community, and stakeholders. So you're going to focus on your students' success at all times. And this is also going to help you build better relationships with students, their parents, staff, your whole community, your whole learning community. And how does this relate to Standard 2.1? Finally, the correlation. This standard correlates to the assignment because we were asked to determine our own strengths and weaknesses regarding all of the mindsets, the dispositions, the practices, the principles. And altogether, those 4 directly impact students' success and well-being every single day. So I think that was the biggest point of this assignment. Its relevance to my future. It helped me realize the areas in which I'll need growth to become the most effective school leader. I'm hoping I can gain all of those mindsets, dispositions, practices, and principles, because if I do, I think that's what's going to make me the most effective. I think I'll do good at the job either way, but that'll make me most effective for students. And finally, my reflection here. After completing this assignment, I've realized that I have many areas of growth before I could successfully enter a leadership position in an educational environment. I think I do have many strengths to bring to the table, but there is always room